On April 11, 250 years ago, on Holy Wednesday, when the Eternal City is the most crowded with pilgrims and visitors, attracted by the papal liturgy of the Holy Week and Easter, that musical genius Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, 14 years old, and his father Leopold, a good musician, arrive in Rome. The young Amadeo, as he called himself, would undertake three trips to Italy between December 1769 and March 1773, thus reaching the culmination of the European Grand Tour, which in the 18th and still in the 19th century was considered almost mandatory for the upbringing and formation of a gentleman. In particular, the wonder of those times was the Miserere by Gregorio Allegri, 1584 to 1652. The famous nine-part song in two choirs, composed by the Roman musician and priest on the text from Psalm 51, in which the penitent cries out his sins and implores divine mercy. According to the great Roman dialect poet Giuseppe Gioacchino Belli, all the English who stayed at the London hotel in the Piazza di Spagna couldn't talk about anything but what a pleasure it was to hear the Miserere in St. Peter's with not a single instrument accompanying it. In fact, Belly wonders, in Great Britain and in all the other foreign churches, who can say as in Rome on those 3 evenings of Holy Wednesday and Thursday and Good Friday, Miserere mei Deus secundum magnam misericordiam tuam. The poet recalls that on that day they stayed on that magnan an hour and sang like that, blood of the grape. That magnan is a word to fall in love with. First one musician said it, then two, then three, then four, and now the choir finally came out with it, Misericordiam tuam. From a letter by Leopold written to his wife on April 14, 1770, the day of their arrival in Rome is obtained the following. We arrived here safely at midday on the 11th. I could more easily have been persuaded to return to Salzburg than come to Rome, as we spent 5 days traveling from Florence to Rome in the most appalling rain and cold wind. In Rome itself I heard that it has been raining constantly for the last 4 months, and we certainly got a taste of this when we went to the Sistine Chapel to hear the Miserere on the Wednesday and Thursday. Setting off on both occasions in fine weather, only to be caught in such a terrible downpour on our way home that our coats have never been as wet as they were on that occasion. You will often have heard of the famous Miserere in Rome, which is held in such high regard that the chapel musicians are forbidden of paying of excommunication to remove even a single part from the chapel, still less to cut it out or to give it to anyone else. But we already have it. Wolfgang has already written it down, and would have sent it to Salzburg with his letter except that it would require our presence to perform it. The manner of its performance must play a greater role than the work itself, and so we'll bring it home with us. And as it's one of Rome's secrets, we don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. Ut non incorrimus mediate veli mediate in censurem ecclesia, so that we shall not incur the Church's censure, either now or later. We have already explored St. Peter's, and I've no doubt that none of the local sites will be overlooked. Tomorrow, God willing, we'll see His Holiness preach. What happened? Despite the rainy weather, father and son arrived in Rome from the north, passing through the Porta del Popolo and go to live in a building that was located in today's Piazza Nicosia. And as a memorial tablet reminds us, since 1996, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, in the house that once stood here, wrote down Allegri's Miserere. In the afternoon, the two could listen to Allegri's Miserere, sung by the Sistine Chapel Choir, conducted by Giuseppe Santi Santarelli, maestro pro tempore in 1770. Composed in 1638, that Miserere was performed twice each year, during the Office of Tenebra, which today is called the Office of Readings of Holy Thursday and Saturday. On Good Friday, the one by Felice Anerio or Santenaldini was sung. After the Vespers of the previous day, that is, after the sunset of Wednesday and Friday, exclusively in the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican, while Mozart, as a young teenager, transcribed it by heart, just arrived home. Having returned to listen to it on Good Friday, he secretly took the transcription and corrected it during the performance. For his musical theft, as well as for his other artistic merits, the young composer would not only avoid excommunication but would be made Knight of the Golden Order by Pope Clemens XIV to honor te quem in suavissimo cimbali sonitu a prima adolescentia tu excellenta esse intelleximus T, whom we understand to have excelled since the earliest youth in the sweetest sounding of the harpsichord, as we read in the papal patent of July 4, 1770, a Cametti, Mozart a Roma, in Rivista d'Italia Roma, April 1907, says it came about that Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, in that fair and land where sea is heard, Dante Alighieri composed little sacred music by listening to a lot of it, and that the miracle God caused to be born in Salzburg, as Leopold introduced his sons to the Italians and through them to the whole world, meant the miracle of circuit polyphony, in which several voices run after each other, harmonies intertwine, instruments are silent, and vaults of the basilicas echo. The Salzburg genius would keep for a long time the memory and lesson of it, so much so that he wrote on September 4, 1776, to the famous Bolognese musician and theorist Padre Martini, 1706 to 1787, his maestro during the Italian stay. Our church music is rather different from that in Italy. A particular course of study is required for this class of composition. The Letters of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, 1769 to 1791, New York, Philadelphia.